This video is taking me a long time to get done, so I think I'm just going to actually put away my notes now and I'm just going to go off my brain. Chill vibes, chill it down. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Hi, my name is Becca and I have been dealing with a hip stress fracture and with REDS recently. I wanted to sit down today and film kind of just my journey, my story through it all. And it's always my intent to share these for educational purposes and to hopefully help someone along the way, whether it just be feeling less lonely or, inspiring them to, seek help and get better for these things. And I just feel like it's going to give you more context as to who I am and how I got here and just share everything. And by everything, I mean my journey with fitness, health, wellness, the ups and the downs, and within that, my relationship with food, exercise, body, and just everything in between. So we got our coffee. Grab your drink, grab whatever you need. I'm gonna try to not make this so much longer than what it needs to be. Before I do get into this, I do want to just give a disclaimer. This is your warning. In this video, I'm going to share my journeys with eating disorders and body image, talk about mental health. So if you're struggling or if you have struggled and those are topics that might trigger you, then I advise you to just click on out of this video. It won't hurt my feelings. But again, thank you so much for clicking and watching, and hopefully shed some light for someone else out there who might struggle with the same thing. So I do have, again, like I said, notes, but I'm going to try my best to not go on these notes today and just share. Let's start from the beginning. I'm going to start from when I was, a young child, early childhood years. And before I do get into this, I am not bashing my parents at all by any means or saying that this all happened to me because of certain people. My parents were very young. Again, to give you context, my parents were babies having babies. Okay. They literally just did what the best they could with what they had or what they knew. They were 20 years old having me, so this is not bashing anyone, and this is also not a pity party. Like poor me, all these things happened to me. Okay, we got that out of the way first. So I struggled with my weight basically since day one. I was an overweight child, and it like I remember being a very core memory of me was I was 6 years old sitting in the doctor's office and she had a BMI chart open and she pointed to me. She's like, look, you're here and everyone else is here. You're too big and everyone else is here. You need to go there. So you kind of get my context, get my drift. My dad works a very highly demanding job, long hours every single day, didn't have very much time for family life, and my mom suffers with her own mental illnesses throughout the years. And so as a result of that, my diet often consisted of takeout food, highly processed sugary foods, carb heavy meals. We just weren't eating the best, and it showed. My weight showed of that. And I loved food as a kid, and as any kid does. Like I loved the sweets. I loved all of that. But I was also very bullied and teased about my weight from a very young age in school. And I just have very core memories of that happening. And, it was unfortunate. Like, no one should be bullied, but it just happens. Kids were mean. And I remember being as young as 10 or 11. And that's when I actually tried to take matters into my own hands and start exercising, start eating clean, which I honestly truly had no idea about what eating clean was or looked like. I just listened to, the early 2000s culture around me. I listened to the Atkins diet, the keto diet, I'm doing this diet, etc., etc. So again, my knowledge was skewed. And I remember being 10 and starting that. And I remember in grade 8 specifically, I started going for walks because I saw my dad going for walks. And yeah, it was all in a means to control my weight. And I also remember my parents did put me in sport throughout my young childhood years in attempts to try to, control my weight. But I didn't love any of these sports. They put me in dance, they put me in I think karate, they put me in just whatever, various sports. And it just felt like I was forced into doing it. So, again, my relationship with exercise at this point was not great. It was, as you can see and probably tell, problematically, I developed a raging eating disorder in grade 9 going into high school. And I was a cardio junkie. I joined the cross country team, I joined track and field. I stayed after school all the time to just jump on the treadmills because I just thought the more cardio you did, the more weight you would lose. So that's what my relationship with exercise looked like in high school. And I did receive treatment for my eating disorder, various treatments. I had inpatient and outpatient stays. It was a very it was a hard time in my life, let's be real. And I had a lot of things going on at home, which I will not mention for out of respect for my other family members. Again, we were just all trying to do the best we could with what we knew. And Becca at that age, Becca at 14, 15, all she knew was that she couldn't control what she ate and what her exercise looked like. And I developed, again, a full blown eating disorder, very restrictive. They didn't diagnose me with a specific one. They kind of just said I had EDNOS, which is eating disorders non specified. I would restrict and then I would purge through exercise, essentially. And that continued all throughout high school. I did do sports as well. I did like it, enjoyed participating in sports, but at that point, the intention behind it was always to look a certain way. It was never to move to feel good, or I never saw like the actual mental benefits. I think it was just like you need to like, grow booty, or you need to have some abs or whatever. It was just all superficial, which again, my thought now, nothing wrong with training for aesthetics. That's fine. You do you. But as a child that suffered with these things, coming into it and only training for aesthetics didn't work out so well for me. Let's just put it that way. That was high school. Struggled off and on. Did various diets. In my eating disorder, I thought that, like, okay, I have to eat, but then if I am eating, everything needs to be clean, or I need to be vegan, or I need to be vegetarian. So again, it was a lot of figuring things out and learning and going through what I needed to go through, essentially. And 2018, I graduated and I went to college for the first time. This college was 4 provinces away, and I kind of just felt like I just needed to go, if that makes sense. Like, everyone else was going to college, so I didn't really like think too much about my program. I just went. And I was also legal age in this province. So yes, went to college. And this is the first time that I think I developed, or I experienced what it was like to actually binge, because again, I went into it when I was vegan. So I still knew nothing about nutrition. I still knew nothing about it and fueling myself properly. I would start to drink with and socialize with my friends there, and that got a little bit crazy. And then I would binge drink, and then as a result, I would come home and binge eat. And I actually put on a lot of weight. I was training weightlifting as a part of the program that I was in. It was kind of a protocol that we had to maintain some sort of fitness and strength, and they really encouraged us to do weightlifting. So I did enjoy it and I experienced it, and I felt good about it. Like, it wasn't just to look a certain way. I actually did feel some strength, some happiness and benefits from it. But again, knew nothing about nutrition at all. I got very homesick, and the people that I was residing with in school were also not the very nicest people. And I needed to come home, so I came home in 2019. It was a really hard year for me as well. I came home and I found out my parents were getting a divorce, and I had no job. I had no money. I really discovered partying on the weekends, just getting shit faced, binging, drinking with my friends, doing whatever, and eating a lot as a result of that as well. Like, it just goes hand in hand for me. You go out on a night with friends and then you come home and you have a binge. And that went on for, I would say, 2019, most of 2020, and 2021. And again, I'm coming to it. As we know, those years were a global pandemic. I gained a lot of weight. I gained probably 50 to 70 pounds of weight. I did not feel great in my body at all. I did not know how to feel good. All I ever knew was restrict, 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 eat as little as you could, and then inevitably I would binge. That's just the cycle that I was in. And I felt horrible. I didn't know who I was. I looked at my body and didn't know her. And I was also working retail job, and I worked at a grocery store. So I dealt with a lot of pressures from customers and just the uncertainty of the pandemic and everyone's anxiety and everyone whatever. And like it was just it was an experience in my lifetime. And I remember also another pivotal moment. Let's say a family member in my husband's family came up to me and she's like, "Wow, you've gained a lot of weight." And then that kind of triggered, oh, like my ED brain, like, oh my gosh, like this is such a bad thing. Like I've let myself go so much. And I was just so frustrated and so in this like binge restrict cycle that I felt like I couldn't get out of it. Fast forward to 2021, I did go back to school for what I currently do for work. And I was just like, enough is enough. You know, like my blood pressure was really high. I could barely walk up a flight of stairs without being out of breath. I felt like shit. I looked like shit. I was tired of just simply being tired. And that's when I really started my fitness journey. That's when this really starts. And it was for the best reasons ever. Like it was, yes, it was weight loss because I knew that I needed to lose weight, but I also really found myself through fitness and health and through just learning to eat properly and eat for once, like knew what, like understand my body and fuel it and become who I became, you know. And I feel like we're always becoming. We're not ever finished. That's the whole point of this life, you know? It is a journey. It's not a one-stop shop. So that's really what sparked it. I went to school, and then going with school for some reason, I don't know what brought upon me, but I'm really glad that I did. I went to the gym and I started doing that 4 days a week, strength training. And I had done strength training in the past, but again, I was never super consistent with it. And I always just did cardio, cardio, cardio as a cardio bunny. You know, like I just thought that that's what you did to lose weight. So got into the gym and I actually was consistent with it. And I started making really small changes in my diet, nothing crazy overnight. And I lost a lot of weight and I built a lot of muscle. And this is from 2021 to 2023, probably 2024. And I really found myself. And pivotal points in my years, or pivotal point in my life, sorry. It was a beautiful time. I definitely, again, I was in a weight loss period, but I wasn't trying to starve myself. I was trying to really become the strongest version of myself, I think. And I was trying to start to see, you know, what can I do versus like just wanting to look a certain way. And I actually wanted to feel good. And I did feel really good doing this. And of course, like aesthetic changes did happen. And when I first got into the weights, it was very much bodybuilder focused. So I'd be lying if I sat here and said I didn't focus on aesthetics because I did. But I just learned so much about fueling and training. And it was just a really good growth period of my life, a really pivotal moment. Like I was consistent and disciplined and I saw the work pay off for me. And I also felt really good doing it. So that was a really good moment in my life. I graduated college in 2023. I worked a few shitty jobs at a high school, or oh my gosh, shitty jobs at a college because you're not granted the, you know, dream job that you wanted. And again, I was really focused on bodybuilding style training and did that. It was fine. And then 2024, last year, this is probably the most pivotal point in this fitness journey till now, really. I landed my dream job essentially in my field, which was in the hospital. And I was also diagnosed, or I had a really big health scare with a blood clot in my brain. They essentially just summed it up to you're healthy. We just think that it's because you were on birth control and that's what caused you to have a blood clot. And I was on birth control for like 10 years. Anyways, I'm better now from that. I had to do injectable blood thinners and oral blood thinners for like 6 months. And I think from that experience, because of how much it scared me, it really made me realize you only have one life. Treat it as you will. Like this is precious. I really developed into the running lifestyle, into the hybrid training lifestyle last year. That was really trendy. And I always did cardio as a part of my fitness routine because I just thought that like you needed to, like it's good, it's beneficial. We all should, but I think that running really my spark and my passion for loving again running again happened last year when I got really into it after, having this health scare. I started actually going for runs outside and like I started realizing like the mental benefits of it and like how freeing it felt or like how much it just let me not think or think clearly. And I added that into my weightlifting program and everything else. So that was really good. And I wanted to really push myself and see what I was capable of. And I ran my first half in the fall last year, and I ran my first full in May of this year, 2025. That was great. And it just felt like I honestly feel like I got to the point with my body, with exercise, with food, where I was training to feel good, not just to look a certain way, not just to eat a certain way. Like I truly felt so strong. And I also did a powerlifting meet last year as well. So I was literally the strongest version that I ever developed into, and it was the best thing. And then I did a marathon. And I also took exercise recently with everything going on a little bit too far. I think I really leaned on it as a form of therapy, which in a sense I don't think that that's inherently wrong. Like it's definitely fine to have those things to lean into, but I took it like a little overboard. Like I really didn't address the elephant in the room, how I was thinking, and I just dove right into the exercise of it all. And it did become obsessive. Like with this injury after the marathon, I did compulsory exercise. Sorry, how do I say this? Yes, you get the drift. Like having that experience, jumping into running, jumping into hybrid, I think I definitely developed more of an exercise addiction in the last year than anything. Really wasn't in a way to like it wasn't like before where I was trying to like look a certain way or lose weight by any means. It was just simply my way of coping now in this life. It changed from food to exercise, and unfortunately, I did get injured in after my marathon. I jumped into a second marathon training block way too soon, way too quickly, and ramped up the mileage and the intensity way too much. And I definitely knew I had a hip problem for months before this happened, but it got to the point where, like, the exact day that I knew something was really wrong was when I failed a squat in the gym. And when I got out of that squat, I could not walk on that side of my leg, and it was in so much pain. And this went on for a good month before I figured out, I have two hip stress fractures. And now we're pretty much here. We are in the deep into the recovery zone of it all, and I'm still trying to figure it out. And how my training is going to look when I get back into it, that's going to be important. But yes, that's essentially what led me to here. It's been very up and down over the years, and I'm at the point where like, I'm getting back into exercise, I'm getting back into training, and I want it to be more sustainable and obviously healthy this time around. And I've just found a lot of eye-opening things with this injury happening to like present day 2025. I know training will always be a big part of me, and I want it to be, but I want it to be more sustainable and to fuel. And I am currently going through therapy and treatment, like I will be honest with that. And yeah, I really do want to see what I am capable of. Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss of words to say. right now. Hopefully this is on. I'm going to try to end this video now because it's been very rambly and it's hard to talk about as naturally as it is. It's a complicated journey. It's a complicated process. Like, just give myself a little break. It's fine. Really, it's going to be okay. So we are now November in 2025. And I have had to not exercise or be without exercise for literally 3 months now. I remember my last day running was August 15th of this year. 3 months since my last run. And I haven't also been in the gym. I am just starting rehab and just starting to even walk now. So it's been a pretty pivotal experience. It's been a pretty hard experience, to say the least. Very challenging time, for sure. And with all this time and with all this thinking that I've had to do, it's caused me to see that I needed to change my relationship with food and also with exercise and really face the uncomfortable parts head on. I think that when I was exercising and I was training as much as I did, I could just push it away, away, away. Everything was fine. I was training, so it was fine, and I could avoid it, really. And as uncomfortable as it is, I am now head on dealing with some of my darkest demons that I've ever had to. All good reason though. And I know that it will get better and it will get easier. And again, this happened for me, not to me. As difficult and challenging as this has been, there's a reason for it. And I will get stronger for it and come out of the other side stronger for it. And I know that. I know that. And I'm hoping that me sharing this journey will shed some light for anyone that might ever have gone through anything remotely similar to me. That's my goal. Where was I going with that? I don't know. So, yes, lots of reflecting. It's been over 3 months, and just realizing that coming back into it, like I am just starting to ramp up to get back into it now. I've been swimming, doing rehab, starting to walk, etc. I know that my relationship with exercise, with all of these things, really is going to keep evolving over the rest of my life. Like, it just does. But I just know going back into it, it's going to have to look different than obviously what it did look like. And I do want to find, like, I do have goals, and those are great goals, to want to find what I'm truly capable of and to really push myself and break PRs and break PBs and like really try to see what I can do. Like that's all fine and dandy and that's great to have. But just know that my relationship needs to look different going forward. I can't be as rigid. I can't exercise when I'm injured or sick or push through as many things as I did. I need to actually listen to my body and learn to listen to my body. And also with the diet and the food, like food fuels training. Obviously, I know that now, and I knew that all along, but I think 2024, like, because I was on such a dieting phase for a couple years, it was hard to get out of that mind mentality, even though it wasn't like intentional. And I did get really lean, and I did see a lot of results, and I think I just found comfort in staying there. Obviously, from like other previous disorders that I've dealt with in the past, it felt safe. So, again, performance over aesthetics, fueling over aesthetics, fueling over literally everything. I cannot stress that enough now. It's been such a confusing journey. And again, like I feel like I've lost my identity almost. And I'm trying to like rebirth her and re-find her and like see where she is and what she's gonna do. And it's uncomfortable and it's hard and it's beautiful. It's everything. Like it's everything. So yeah. That's my story. It's a long-winded story. It's not over yet, though. It is far from over yet, though. And again, I know that this time next year, I'm going to look back at it and be like, oh my God, like I am in such a different space. Like, who is she, And I'm going to run PBs and I'm going to have, more strength than ever is the goal of it all and come out the other side. I don't really know where else, if I have anything else much to say other than you aren't alone. We face as women a lot of pressure from society to look a certain way, to feel a certain way, to do this and do that. We're told what to do all the time. And even not even just being a woman, like I just feel like as a society in general, we're so fixated on you need to do this. Like it's like a rat race. It really is these days. And just know that you're not alone, and that I know my journey is very similar to other people's journeys, and et cetera, et cetera. And there's people probably going through the same thing that I'm doing right now. So it's beautiful and it's hard and it's messy and it's everything in between. And if I can even make you feel a little bit seen or heard, then that's great.